everyone, welcome to another episode of You Oughta Know, where I introduce you to bands that you should definitely have on your radar. Today's guest on the show is Nameless Anonymous from North Carolina. How are you guys doing?
Good. How you doing?
Good, awesome. So guys, let's talk a little bit about yourselves. Why don't you go ahead and tell us where are you from? How did you come up with the name? Like, is everybody from the North Carolina area, or like y'all are transplants? How did this all happen?
So I started the band back in 2009 is when I officially started, from Los Angeles, California. I'm originally from Los Angeles, and I joined the military in 2013, and I got out of LA, and it took me to North Carolina. We didn't do anything for a little while. From there, one of my buddies that I was stationed with kind of got me to want to start playing again, and I started the band up again. So it was one of those getting the band back together situations. And the name Nameless Anonymous came from early social media, MySpace to be exact. When you used to be able to change your name on MySpace.
You mean when you had control of your social media?
Yeah. Whatever.
You know, Tom was so cool, and we took him for granted.
Oh yeah. So I came up with the name on MySpace, and I think I changed my name, was last name Anonymous, and me and my ex-guitarist started talking, and was like, we should name the band that. Like, what, Nameless Anonymous? Yeah, that. So we stuck with the name.
Yeah. That's cool. I mean, it was interesting. At first, I read it, was like, okay, like.
We go by NA too, so it's Nameless Anonymous or NA more commonly, whichever one.
Kind of depending on setting. I joined the band a little later after he'd already moved here and had auditioned a couple different guitarists. I was fresh to Fort Bragg, and I was looking for just anybody to play with. I'd never really done that, and I put an ad out on Craigslist, and and this is important, I said, rhythm guitarist looking for other bands or other people to play with, yada yada yada, Influence, Testament, Metallica, whatever. And then he sends me an email and he goes, hey, are you interested in joining a band? And I was like, well, hell yeah,
Nice.
So then I sent my audition tape in, which was like Sweating Bullets from Megadeth. It's terrible, but it was enough, I guess. And I showed up with
terrible enough, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? So after watching the video, I think we were maybe at guitarist number 5 or 6 that I had been talking to at that time, and a lot of them was like, I cannot play that. It's cool and I dig it, but I cannot play that type of music.
Yeah.
So
I was like, yeah, I'll play whatever. I auditioned for a pop punk band before him.
Okay.
That was excruciating.
But he can't stand.
Yeah. But so I show up to the interview, or to the actual audition with these guys, and he starts kind of showing me a couple of the Nameless Anonymous songs, and he's like, okay, now you're gonna be playing lead. Can you do lead? And I was like, I said I couldn't do lead.
I said rhythm.
You're gonna be playing lead, and I was like, all right, you know what? I'll try.
He fought it at first. He was very argumentative, and he was like, I can't play lead. I cannot. So now he's a lead guitarist.
Yeah. So, and since then, it's been a fun ride. But I'm better for it, so.
Awesome. How would you guys describe your sound? I mean, I was listening to your album this week, and I can definitely feel like a punk influence. I can feel like a Bay Area trash influence also on it. Like if you had to call it something, what would you call it? Or what are the influences? How did you come up with the sound?
So
Halloween. You ever heard of them?
Hell yeah.
They're one of my
yeah. So yeah, you guys have the cover for "I Want Out." Like that was like, I'm going through the titles. It's like I want out. Like I want out. It's like I click on it. It's like, oh shit.
I'm very heavily influenced by a lot of old school thrash.
Okay.
I used to play more punk when I was younger.
Yeah.
And then when I got into high school, I had a buddy of mine who introduced me to a bunch of different bands. We used to give each other he'd bring CDs or we'd have them on our iPods. It's like, hey, check this out. So first album I listened to was Kill 'Em All, and I was just starting high school, and I was listening to punk before I got into high school. It's like, that's awesome. That's almost what I listened to, but it has solos in it.
Yeah.
So I got into thrash from there, and then I started progressing. Got into black metal first for a little bit, and then I progressed into melodic death or technical death. And I kind of wanted to blend those two together with some Iron Maiden feel, because he loves harmonies.
Jesus.
So he loves harmonies, but he doesn't play lead.
No.
You're a complicated person, you know that?
That was a very sarcastic love. I don't mind harmonies. It's our thing, and I've made peace with that. But for me, I never was really a big fan of harmonies. Mostly just because, again, I played rhythm, and I was like, I have no need for that in my life.
But Halloween helped influence me a lot, which is why we covered Halloween. And they're like the earlier stuff. I want to say the Walls of Jericho album when Kai was singing. That was more thrash based as well.
Yes.
That's what really. I was in middle school when I started listening to them, so they were more of an impact in that regard as well.
I will say that one of the things that like your album did is I wanted to find a skateboard somewhere and just go out and hit some ramps or something. I swear, like it's like, yeah, like man, it brought me back. It had that style. It's like, yeah, I like this.
Every time we get an opinion about an album, it's always something different. I've never heard the same thing twice. Like I was playing the guitar when I was at work at really at a night one night, and when some guy walked in and he's like, "Oh, that sounds like." He said it sounded like Children of Bodom or something like that.
Yeah, I can see it.
In Flames, that's what he said. It sounded like In Flames. And I was like, oh, cool. And then I've heard Behemoth, skate punk and everything. So
I've heard,
To answer you that question, though, what we've decided on classifying as is melodic thrash metal, because I think that kind of hits it on the head, and especially with this other stuff that we're writing right now and that we're putting together for the future albums, it's definitely geared more in that direction than what it is right now.
Awesome. I mean, whatever you want to call it, it's fantastic. So just keep doing it. It's great. So the band itself was created years ago.
Yeah.
But the current version of the band is how old?
2000.
So Efren joined 2 years ago.
19, 2019, 2018.
Yeah,
almost.
2018 for you.
No.
You sure?
I joined in January 2019.
I want to say maybe mid 2016 is when I started getting back up.
So you've definitely with this version of the band, you've been able to do some shows.
Yeah, we played a lot. We actually got a couple coming up next week. We'll be in Indiana, and we'll be.
Hell yeah, man! Yeah. I'm so happy to see that, man. Wow, this sucks. This COVID shit sucks, man. Every time I hear a band is saying, "Hey, I have a gig," it's like, "Oh my god, yes, yeah!" I get so excited, man. That's awesome. That's awesome.
It was funny because in November last year we played our last show, and we were like, okay, let's take a break for the holidays and go and spend time with whoever, right? Family.
Yeah. I drove cross country at that time, so it was perfect.
I focused a little more on my job and whatnot, just kind of reset, and like, all right, we'll pick it back up in January. February. And then
that didn't work.
And then what was worse is okay, we still are set to release our album on May 15th.
Yeah.
And they're hopefully saying that everything's supposed to open around then. And now it's November.
Well, at least Bandcamp wasn't closed.
That
would have sucked. Shout out to Bandcamp for doing the No Fee Fridays, every month or something. That's awesome what they're doing for the bands. It's amazing. If you guys want to get a band's album, wait until No Fee Friday and get it on Bandcamp. It's like the best thing that anybody out there is doing for bands.
Yeah.
So, out of all the shows that you've done with this current version of the band, like what would you say was like the memorable one, the one that is like, yeah?
So, I gotta say, our first one, for me personally, because that was my first time ever performing live in front of anybody. We were recorded. That whole show was recorded, and I think I made the fewest mistakes during that show.
See, it's usually the opposite, so that's good. That's really, really good.
I was super nervous, and my stage presence was not as good as I wanted it to be, but I was just happy that it turned out as okay.
He was so focused and so determined to not mess up on his very first show that he actually got that right.
Yep, and then I got cocky. I can't find my guitar sometimes.
For me, I will say that was one of either that or we played at Clayton Beverage in Clayton, North Carolina. That was a Halloween show.
Yep.
And me and Zeke, our drummer, kind of he painted his face, I painted mine, I tried to do the black metal thing, but I also wore a mask. And I had it hanging here in this room. But that mask that I had, I was supposed to take it off after the first 2 songs to show the face paint that I had. But I took it off, I want to say mid-second song because I couldn't see my guitar. It was dark, so as soon as I got the chance and sustained a note, I grabbed it and I tossed it behind my amplifier. So I want to say that that's probably the most memorable one.
Nice. That's awesome, man. So, let's talk a little bit about, current events. Like you already mentioned that you have some shows coming up, and I'm so happy to hear that. But how has COVID affected you all? I know we touched on the subject a little bit, but can you go more into detail? Like, what was your plan when the whole thing started? And I know you mentioned you're working on new material, so have you been able to record any of it, or are you just rehearsing it and writing?
Yeah, so our plan originally, so we actually pushed our album back a couple of months into May because we were going to release it in the spring after playing a few shows leading up to it. And we're going to bring out the boxes of all the crap with us and be like, hey guys, here it is. But when we did release it, we're like, all right, we have our online store up and we're just going to blast the hell out of it. We'll do a pre-release and really get in front of people as much as we can online. And during that time, we were also working on
new material,
and then some cover material that we were kind of getting out of the way.
We did a little private event in July, so it was a show, but not really a show.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we did a bunch of covers, which we're in the process of recording now for our B-sides because we're like, hey, we learned 15 songs for this show. We should record these songs. So we have a B-sides coming out hopefully by the end of next year.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Take a minute.
Yeah. You guys are doing all your own distribution. Are you recording it yourselves, or are you going to like a studio?
I have a home studio.
Oh, perfect.
So we'll be doing all in house.
That's the way to go, man. I'm so happy with the level of not just the ease of the technology, but the availability of the technology today to be able to do this stuff. I remember, I'm a little bit older than you guys, and we had like the Tascam 4 tracks with the cassette on them, and my God, that was painful. And my best friend back in Puerto Rico, Walter, he had like the little room in the back of his house, and he had the 8-track, not the 4-track. He had the 8-track. He had the big ones. He's like, oh wow, so we could probably do a whole drum set with this.
Yeah.
And then you fast forward to now, and like the demo that I just put out for the headless guitar, it's like I did the whole thing sitting right here in front of my computer.
Yeah.
In a couple hours. It's just amazing, and I'm so happy. I'm very, very happy to see bands taking advantage of that, because as much as the music industry is out there to screw musicians, this is the one thing that we can definitely be out on top.
Yeah.
And, be able to be the masters of our own domain when it comes to that, and set our own rules as far as like what we're gonna do, when are we gonna do it, how are we gonna do it, when it comes to recording. So that's awesome, man. Really happy for you guys. Let's go ahead. Why don't you give us like your, where can people find your music? Give us your social media and your ways to contact you and stuff like that.
So we have a Facebook. It's Nameless Anonymous Band. Following the last dash. No, not that.
Yeah, just the last /
Yep, there we go. / Nameless Anonymous Band. We have an Instagram account, same name, Nameless Anonymous Band. Bandcamp, I think, is just Nameless Anonymous, possibly Nameless Anonymous.
Yeah, for the most part, it's going to be Nameless Anonymous Band.
Okay.
And then we've also got, you find our music to play, stream on Spotify, iTunes,
Amazon. We're on YouTube as well. We have the topic, and we have our own channel as well.
Okay, cool.
We're adding more content on there.
Yep. You can go to bigcartel.com.
Or Nameless Anonymous. Nameless Anonymous Big Cartel.
Yeah, so Nameless Anonymous Band.bigcartel.com.
Yeah.
Right. So anywhere you can find music, you guys are in there.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep.
So to wrap this up, why don't you just go ahead and just tell the fans, like, why should they just go and listen to your stuff? We talk a little bit about it, but if you have to go and tell somebody that has never listened to Nameless Anonymous, it's like, what would you tell them? It's like, so this is what we sound like, this is what we are, like, this is what we're about. Why don't you go ahead and just give us that?
So for me, in my eyes, it's like, it sounds like the old stuff that we all know and love, but it's modernized, it's newer, you haven't heard it yet.
Yeah.
Right? So it's one of those, like, sometimes you sit there and you're listening to your favorite bands and you're thinking, there's got to be something else. You start looking, look for us, Nameless Anonymous.
And we change it up too. We're not just ones. We're not always playing fast. We change up our styles of music.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, I like some of the galloping riffs you guys are doing. It's like, yeah, I'm telling you, it was a lot of old school stuff, and it brought me back. I said, damn it, where's my skateboard? That's awesome. Well, you guys heard him, Nameless Anonymous from North Carolina. Guys, thank you so much for being on the show. Everybody out there, check these guys out everywhere you can find music, Nameless Anonymous. And thank you for being again on the show, guys. I really appreciate this.
Thank you very much for having us.
All right, you have a good one.
Have a good night.